This sunrise, the Maritime Union facing legal action over the Dubai mercenaries.
John Howard's ahead in the polls, the first time in 2 months.
And picking up the pieces after a weekend of rioting in Northern Ireland. Good morning, welcome to Sunrise for this Monday the 15th of December. I'm Melissa Doyle.
Morning all, I'm David Koch. Also today's soccer and a courageous 0-0 draw for the Aussies against the world champions Brazil. Great result.
And later, after 5 years of controversy, the Port Hinchinbrook resort has been opened. But first up this sunrise, the Maritime Union is claiming victory this morning with confirmation that 29 soldiers sent to Dubai for strike break training have had their visas cancelled. They're expected to be home by Christmas. But it's not all over yet. The company responsible for hiring the men has promised a legal fight.
After 3 weeks of training, these so-called wharfie mercenaries are now in retreat. The Maritime Union's forced their return from Dubai, but there's another confrontation looming.
We are now talking to our legal people regarding defamation, not only by the MUA but by other parties, and particularly with the use of the word mercenaries. If people look it up in the dictionary, it states the mercenaries are a group of armed people who move into another country with a view to taking it over.
The backdown came after international unions threatened to block the lucrative Dubai port. United Arab Emirates immediately distanced themselves from the affair, suspending the 29 soldiers from training exercises.
The thing has been beat up out of all possible proportion.
The Industrial Relations Minister rejected the opposition's call for an inquiry.
Whatever might be behind this particular scheme, 30 people can't take over the waterfront.
The government maintains it's committed to waterfront reform and will back any activity that's lawful. Amanda Palmer, 7 News.
Prime Minister Howard has made a stunning comeback in the polls to retake the lead for the first time since Cheryl Kernot defected to Labor. The Bulletin Morgan poll to be published this week found a 6% swing towards the government parties. Meanwhile, Ms Kernot has been formally endorsed as the Labor candidate for the federal seat of Dickson, and she has defended her 5-year relationship with one of her former school students.
On the very day the Labor machine officially endorsed Cheryl Kernot to contest the North Brisbane seat of Dickson, a grubby sex smear campaign appeared in Sydney's newspapers, suggesting 21 years ago as a married teacher, she had an affair with a student.
I had a loving and meaningful relationship which endured for 5 years with a former student of mine, and we contemplated marriage.
Cheryl Kernot is comfortable with her past and accuses Liberals close to John Howard of peddling gossip.
I knew my shift to Labor had rattled them, but today I know that they are desperate. I'm not ashamed of my past, I'm not haunted by it, and I'm quite happy to face the judgment of the people of Dickson.
Peter Doherty, 7 News.
Liberal MPs in Victoria are calling for a change to Premier Jeff Kennett's leadership style this sunrise after the party's landslide loss in the Mitcham by-election. The ALP won the seat in the biggest by-election swing in Australian history, more than 16%. And Labor leader John Brumby is predicting his party can win the next election, due in 18 months at the earliest.
It's an even money bet. We'll live to fight another day. Thank you.
Mr Kernot concedes voters have fired a shot across the government's bows, but says it doesn't reflect what would happen at a general election.
Students from Melbourne's 14 TAFE institutions intend to protest outside State Parliament House today over recommendations made by a ministerial review. Students believe the recommendations will cut staff to TAFE colleges, close smaller campuses and privatise some TAFE colleges in Melbourne.
More than 200 protesters have failed to disrupt the official opening of the controversial Hinchinbrook resort in North Queensland. New Queensland Democrat Senator Andrew Bartlett and State Greens spokesman Drew Hutton were threatened with arrest after they tried to enter the property to listen to the official speeches. About 50 police and 20 security guards managed to keep the peaceful protesters behind barriers near the roadside, well away from the official party.
Leaders from both sides have promised to continue the peace process in Northern Ireland despite weekend riots. The violence in Londonderry was the worst seen in the province since the IRA ceasefire in July. A Protestant parade enraged Catholic youths, spurring on clashes with police and troops. But both IRA and Loyalist leaders have described the incidents as isolated.
Well, time to check Monday's weather now around the nation. Let's have a look. And a gorgeous morning in Sydney, the sun just beginning to peep over the top of those buildings. Well, the satellite picture shows cloud over Queensland, Victoria and the southwest of the country. A series of low pressure areas are associated with the cloud, but they should move through quickly, bringing more settled weather. Today we'll see thunderstorms throughout Queensland with high temperatures nudging the 40-degree mark inland. A bit cooler in New South Wales today after a hot weekend, but mostly fine. Temperatures mostly in the mid-20s. Fine too in the Capital Territory with a top of 25 degrees. Mostly fine in Victoria, except in the southeast with showers forecast for the area around Melbourne. Showers also over most of Tasmania. Mostly fine in Adelaide, but showers elsewhere in South Australia. Fine and hot in the west, but expect a late change. Late storms too in Darwin. Fine today in the Alice.
Stay on Sunrise. Next I'll have all the latest world business news and some news from Patsy and Eddie's favourite retailer.
Oh yeah?
You an APFAT fan? Harvey Nicks.
And later on Sunrise Sport, Australia versus Australia A at the SCG.
In the air, like that.
Join Australia's favourite game.
Oh, good!
It's the game over 1 million Australians watch every week. So join our contestants for all the fun with Rob and Adriana on Wheel of Fortune. Weekdays here on Prime.